My name is Mike Doyle. I'm here proudly on behalf of Dr. Angelia Riggsbee. She's an educated professional who worked very hard in government service for decades and was very proud last year to join the office of the Sheriff of Mecklenburg County as a business manager. She was dedicated to her work. She was dedicated to public service. She was proud to work for the Sheriff's Department of this county. Unfortunately, our investigation has confirmed that the sheriff of this county has actually participated in misconduct of the worst kind when you're talking about public service. Dr. Riggsbee, during her work, within months, raised troubling questions both about pay disparities as well as financial irregularities, which are important to the taxpayers and are incredibly important to her as someone who's a safeguard of the public treasury. Instead of acting in a professional, responsible manner, the sheriff attempted to destroy her professionally and personally. In fact, it led to her being picked up by armed officers in a county vehicle and escorted to being fired for the first time in her career in a way that I think speaks to the level of aggressiveness towards folks who report misconduct and honest reporting in public service that we've seen. We believe, as laid out in the complaint, the sheriff must accept this is not a reality TV show. The taxpayers, the citizens of Mecklenburg County, of North Carolina, expect their public servants to actually respond in an appropriate, honest manner to honest reporting of misconduct, irregularities in public service, and that's not what happened here. At this point, it's our job as her lawyers to work hard to both reveal the full extent of what happened to her, also to ensure that her reputation is sustained and returned to her, and that at the end of the day, this doesn't continue to happen to the taxpayers, to the citizens, to the hardworking members of the Mecklenburg Sheriff's Department. With that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Riggsbee. I'll go ahead and let you switch it.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your time and attendance today. When I moved to Charlotte 10 years ago, it was with the goal of furthering my professional career. I worked hard to reach my goals and to deliver excellent service to my employers and to the community. On March the 20th, 2024, I reached the high point of my career when I was hired as the Business Operations Director for the Mecklenburg County Sheriff after working in another department for 7 years. This promotion and great career advancement made me proud. Throughout my 35-year career in accounting, finance, and business management, I have stood for honesty, compassion for employees, strong ethics, morals, financial accountability, and compliance. This remained the case during my employment with the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. On November the 13th, 2024, my world was shattered. I was escorted to the sheriff's headquarters and presented a letter of termination by Sheriff McFadden, which stated my services as an employee of the sheriff's office were no longer required. At the direction of the sheriff, I was then escorted by officers off the premises in a cruel and humiliating way. This was clearly retaliation by Sheriff McFadden because of my reporting of pay disparity and my suspicions of illegal conduct. My attorneys can explain in more detail how this retaliation violated the law. But I believe the evidence will show that my inquiries raised troubling questions about the operations of the Sheriff Department. I also believe my inquiries were a threat to the regime of the sheriff. This retaliation has shattered my life. Because of the sheriff, I have suffered financially, mentally, and emotionally. My 35-year career and reputation were severely damaged. I'm a single mother and a grandmother, but I have been unable to secure employment despite my skills and many years of excellent performance. This has been one of the most difficult times of my life. As a woman of resilience and as a woman of God, I look forward to our day in court. When the truth is seen by a jury and the court, I believe we will prevail. I'm so thankful for my legal team that investigated this situation, believed in me, and now fight for me. I want to set the record straight, and I want justice. In closing, I will continue to stand on these two scriptures. Psalms 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Of whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came against to eat of my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against me in judgment shall be condemned. With that, I'll turn it back over to my legal team.
Thank you, Ms. Mingo.
I just want to say on behalf of our firm that we are thrilled to be able to assist Mr. Doyle and Dr. Riggsbee shine light on the hostile work environment that Garry McFadden has created at the Sheriff's Department, particularly that it affects every single employee in his department, and it also affects all of the residents for whom are under their care.
Thank you. Questions?
Dr. Riggsbee, part of this 10 months ago was kind of just raising awareness, telling your story. This is a different step, a bigger step. Why did you feel this step was necessary, taking legal action like this?
I need justice. I think that the community deserves to understand. There's so many stories that come out, and I think people just kind of skim over them. I think they need to understand the magnitude of what really goes on behind the doors of the sheriff's office. And I need justice. I need to be heard. I need for everyone to know that I was doing what was right. I was standing for what was right.
You said this is one of the most difficult periods of your life. What will make it easier? How can you sort of turn the corner from this? Will it be justice?
Yes. Our day in court to prevail in court and justice.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know you're not the first to speak out. Do you feel like just the collective speaking out will possibly make a change in the sheriff's office?
Honestly speaking, I think so. I do believe the collective speaking out, but until this is brought to justice, and until he's gone, I think that's when the real change will come. But definitely once we prevail in a court of law.
I have a question regarding the audit findings that you have listed in here as part of the lawsuit. One thing that stood out and was interesting that I hadn't heard about yet was the prior director contracting with personal friends who didn't perform those duties, and that employees were still receiving compensation from the sheriff's office. Can you shed any more light on those findings right now?
I'll probably jump in on this. So, I mean, at this point, we've done an investigation. We've had a chance to review documentation that confirms every single statement in the complaint that was filed today. I don't think getting into those details in a public forum at this point where a judge might want to have a protective order in place, or at this point makes much sense, but I think it's clear to say that there's documentation, hard, solid evidence of every statement in the complaint there, including the statements about financial discrepancies, irregularities with insiders the Sheriff's Department laid out in the complaint.
Mike, just for the purpose of our reporting, is this a federal civil case? Can you touch on the difference between that and this being handled locally?
Well, I mean, federal court is a local court, but yeah, it's filed in federal court here in Charlotte. The legal claims are for 1983. Basically, one of the first issue she raised was pay disparities among senior members of the sheriff's staff, black members as compared to folks who weren't, but it's also protected action under North Carolina law. It's all going to proceed in front of federal court right here in Charlotte.
And the actual legal claim is, I believe it said one count of discrimination. Is that?
No, there's also a count under state law for basically retaliation against an honest reporter, a whistleblower type complaint. But the idea is that, if you're honestly in public service reporting misconduct, financial irregularities, these kind of exact problems that are affecting the public or the department, you're protected under North Carolina law.
Can you speak to how far back the disparities go?
I'd like the complaint to speak for itself, but I think that it was evident to Dr. Riggsbee when she first saw the documentation that there was something that had been going on for a long time, where senior members, black members of the sheriff's staff with tremendous education, certifications, responsibility, were not being treated fairly in their pay for a number of years. And that was something she documented in writing, as laid out in the complaint, and made clear to the sheriff, this is a problem that shouldn't be happening in America nowadays.
You said retaliation under state law. Is there also a federal civil rights violation?
Right. So there's two kinds of retaliation that are part of the lawsuit. One part is if you're reporting racial disparities, for example, this pay disparity that race is a part of it, you can't retaliate against someone who's honestly reporting that kind of issue. There's also another type of protected action, and that's just reporting any kind of misconduct or issues that state law of North Carolina protects folks in public service from that.
I do want to get your reaction, Dr. Riggsbee, too. Just last month, another chief deputy resigned. It was the second in under a year, and then your situation. When you saw that headline last month, what was your reaction to that?
I felt it coming, and I have spoken to him since then. And it was, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised, but I have spoken to Alan since then.
And he's on your side?
Yes, he is.
Do you think this will prompt more people to speak up, given the fact that it's happened to others as well?
I'm not sure. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear. People are scared to speak up because the theme has been you're given a nice title, you're given a great salary, and then you're treated the way you're treated. And if you don't, then you run the risk of being fired. So you have a lot of people that are scared to speak out and won't speak out.
Do you hope that this can bring justice for them as well?
Yes. I have had several people, I've been out with my grandchildren and have had people come up to me and say, thank you for speaking up for us because we can't.
Did you ever think when this first started that it impacted life the way it is? Like you can't get a job. Do you think the impact would hit you the way it did?
I never imagined that it would be this impactful. I knew that it was hurtful. But I can honestly say today, as of to date, I have applied for over 200 positions and still have not secured a position as of yet, and this has been 10 months. And we're talking about, I have a doctorate degree, a PhD, and 35 years of experience in this field.
So you feel this is following you?
Absolutely.
Because you spoke up in the past, or? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But as far as, can you just go over compensation and what you guys are asking for?
Yeah, it's laid out in the complaint. I mean, the law provides basically for lost wages, what it does to you as a human being. Those are all the things that a jury evaluates based on the evidence, and we are looking forward to having the jury make that decision.
So one more legal question in terms of ultimate outcomes outside of the compensation. I believe it was mentioned removal of the sheriff and having someone new in that position in North Carolina with the Constitution and the sheriff being an elected official. It's a difficult task, right, to actually have a sheriff removed. Can a judge do that?
Yeah, I don't think that's actually, a
In
direct.
the lawsuit, but ultimate
Yeah.
outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be clear, this is a lawsuit filed under the laws that apply. It's not a lawsuit to remove the sheriff. That's for the voters and the public officials of North Carolina to make that decision. I think Dr. Riggsbee, based on her experience and is laid out in the complaint, obviously believes things are not being done right by the sheriff. And, whether the folks that are responsible for making the decision about him continuing office take action is up to them. She's speaking out to make sure everybody knows what the facts are. Let me go, any other questions? Okay. Let me go include, unfortunately, having done civil rights retaliation cases across the country, one of the things I see, especially in law enforcement, is that you hear talk about bad apples and, you remove the bad apples. Unfortunately, what happens too many times is the folks that speak up, that actually report misconduct in the law enforcement community, they're the ones that are retaliated against. They're the ones that pay the penalty. And so you end up more or less removing the most honest, courageous members of the law enforcement and associated community because they're willing to speak up. And that's what this lawsuit is about preventing.
Thank you all.
Y'all good? Thank you so much for being here, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Really good job.
All right, so that was the announcement from the person that is suing Sheriff Garry McFadden at the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Department, federal charges about wrongful termination. She says she wants her day in court and wants justice. Got a bit emotional there in that presser. We're going to have some more information coming up in our linear shows with our Miles Harris. He was the one listening in there, and he will break down further what that lawsuit means and what comes next in that. Of course, this is a long history now of accusations against Sheriff Garry McFadden. So this really adding to the story here. We've got a lot more to get to, especially with the murder of Charlie Kirk. We know that the government now has someone in custody, they say, and so we're going to get to updates on that in just a little bit. We're going to take a quick break first. We'll have that when we return.